Law enforcement from the U.S. and Mexico are teaming up to take down the top 10 most wanted criminals across the border. After the announcement of this initiative, CBS News Homeland Security and Justice reporter Nicole Sganga spoke exclusively with the top U.S. border agent in the El Paso area about the new challenges that she and her colleagues face, including what's driving American kids to help cartels smuggle people across the border.
Cartels are actively recruiting on social media these young drivers. These are kids. These are American kids, U.S. citizen kids under the age of 18 that are now being recruited through social media to earn $1,000, $2,000, even up to $3,000 over a pickup of a human smuggling load, and then they face high cost of consequences.
Wow. So Nicole is joining us now from El Paso, Texas, near the Mexico border. Nicole, this is really interesting. I guess in a way, I was trying to figure out just why would the kids want to get involved in with cartels? I can see the cartels targeting under 18 kids, maybe because the consequences may be less severe for them in terms of, if they are caught. But what are Border Patrol agents doing to keep these kids from getting involved with these cartels, and why are they? Is it about the money?
Well, good morning, Anne-Marie. It's good to be with you. And yeah, as you said, this is a really troubling trend for law enforcement and also for Customs and Border Protection right here in El Paso. Now, part of the reason we are seeing some of the cartels, including Mexican cartels, looking to recruit American teenagers and kids into these smuggling rings, hiring them to drive some of these tractor-trailer vans deep into the United States after human trafficking efforts over the border, are because some of the non-essential restrictions on travel here during the coronavirus pandemic have sort of prohibited some Mexican nationals from crossing over the border as easily. And so some of the cartels now are outsourcing some of that work, and we are seeing them targeting kids on social media, including on popular apps like TikTok. Now, here in El Paso, CBP is partnering with Santa Teresa, New Mexico's law enforcement right over the Texas-New Mexico border here to my left. And they are also targeting vulnerable communities with education, with messaging, to try to prevent kids from joining up here. And one of those initiatives, it's called the Se Busca initiative. It means looking for information. They're going to be going after some of the top 10 criminals here on the U.S.-Mexico border. We're going to see billboards along the U.S.-Mexico border pretty soon, just trying to get the word out that, these transnational criminal organizations are bad news, and that, American teenagers and their parents, should be warned about these individuals. Now, just one last stat for you, Anne-Marie. Just here in the El Paso sector alone, they have seen 129 smuggling cases, and 91 of those have been prosecuted, and we've still got several months to go here in fiscal year 2021.
You can see how American kids could be vulnerable, particularly online, especially over this last year. A lot of kids spending a lot of time online. Parents aren't always focused on what they're doing, and these are kids dealing with organized criminals that are good at doing this. What other challenges do Border Patrol agents face as they target these members of the cartel?
Yeah, well, I asked the chief yesterday, what more does Border Patrol need? What do, agents on the border require? And she talked a lot about technology, particularly because, some of these cartels do have drone technology. They do have that type of intelligence, and they are watching Border Patrol officials here to know when to traffic both drugs and migrants over the border. And so, CBP looking to get, that artificial intelligence, counter drone technology. This region does expect to get about a dozen more autonomous towers by the end of the year to help oversee its 264 miles of border, Anne-Marie. Another big help to CBP here is the Department of Defense, and there is an expected 3,000 additional National Guardsmen who are headed to the border come September. Right now in this region, they have about 200 National Guardsmen, but hoping to get another installment. Something to keep in mind here about the El Paso sector, too, is that while they have seen an uptick in the past year of unaccompanied migrant children crossing over and families, the vast majority, about 70% of migrants, are single adults, are those individuals that are expelled back into Mexico under Title 42. So oftentimes they are trying to evade officers. That has resulted in 47 injured CBP agents just here in the El Paso sector alone in this past year. Compare that to last year, there were just 23.
All right, so they're going after some of the biggest criminals working the U.S.-Mexico border. Why is the cooperation with Mexican authorities so important when it comes to nabbing these suspects?
Yeah, well, Anne-Marie, historically, the relationship between U.S. and Mexican authorities has been tense. There have been, issues in building trust in recent years with the Drug Enforcement Agency here in the United States. But experts who live and breathe this tell me that the Se Busca initiative, what we talked about earlier, the joint partnership between law enforcement here and law enforcement in Juarez and in Chihuahua over the border behind me, is different. People who live and work at the border, they'll tell you that the relationship is different than Washington, D.C. and Mexico City. And this Se Busca program speaks directly to how transnational criminal organizations operate here along the border. Oftentimes, communities are made aware of those individuals before law enforcement even finds out about them. So again, that sort of cooperation between communities and law enforcement, community members are encouraged to call that tip line. A last thing here, I was speaking to a scholar about this yesterday who reminded me that this initiative changes the message from Mexico as being a perceived problem south of the border to a partner who is also interested in the safety and security of their citizens. So just a perception change in this partnership, Anne-Marie.
As we know, the pandemic has exacerbated any problems within any sort of sector that we have here in this country, any systems. If there's a hiccup in it, the pandemic has made it worse. How has the pandemic affected border agents' jobs?
Yeah, and it's border agents, but it's really the whole Department of Homeland Security. In fact, outside of Border Patrol in ICE detention facilities, more than 7,500 new coronavirus cases have been reported in detention centers across the country since April. Now here, regarding the Border Patrol, it's nearly 24 agents that have passed as of recent as a result of COVID-19. I was talking to the chief yesterday about this because, agents often work in close quarters. They're worried not only about the health of their agents, but also about the migrants who are smuggled over the border, many of whom we know are not vaccinated. And so, for example, here in the El Paso sector, they've caught, migrants who are being hidden in stash houses. Oftentimes you'll see 100 to 200 individuals in a single family home. They have found 156 of those stash houses in this past year, Anne-Marie. Just one illustration of how some of the close quarters involved in human trafficking are, bringing a concern to border agents, even as we're getting vaccinated here in the United States.
So once Title 42 is lifted, the expectation is that there will be more people trying to cross the border. How are agents preparing for what could be an uptick in the number of migrant families seeking asylum at the U.S.-Mexico border?
Yeah, well, a lot of Border Patrol agents here are gearing up. We know, hundreds of miles southeast from here in Donna, Texas, that they are investing in pilot programs, that would allow migrants, once they are processed by CBP, to be detained in alternate ways, ankle bracelets, cell phones, as opposed to maybe being kept in some of those detention centers. Here along the border in El Paso, the chief told me yesterday that she is working on trying to speed up the processing at their central processing facility here in El Paso. We talked about this at length. Take a listen.
We know Title 42 is a temporary authority. We know it was because of the pandemic. We completely understand that. One of my biggest concerns right now is getting ready for when Title 42, if and when it goes away. And some of the preparations that we've been doing here have already begun. They're underway, and it's really our central processing center with a capacity of over 1,000 people, 1,040 people or so. And now, right across that parking lot, we have now set up Connect boxes that are being retrofitted by who? By Border Patrol agents.
And Anne-Marie, those Connect boxes that the chief there is talking about will be used to collect biometric information from migrant families coming across the border, taking photos, trying to help the processing move faster. And we are told, CBS News has learned, that the Biden administration is considering lifting Title 42 by the end of July. So we could see an uptick in the number of migrant families all along the border, including here in El Paso, in the coming weeks.
Wow. Nicole, thank you very much.
Thank you.